Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this April month's labor law update session. Um, we would, as usual, start with the certain rules that have been brought in. Yes, there was a big expectation that on 1st April we would be having all the courts being notified, but given that the rules have not been drafted by all the states, it has been delayed. We are now finding that few of the states are coming out with the rules. The Gujarat government has brought about the code on wages rules, which replaces uh, various other rules that it had already framed, and they've asked for comments on these rules. Similarly, on the OSH code, the Uttar Pradesh government has brought about rules. Nothing significant, no major change, but these are the rules where you need to for registration and safety committees, and it's all the same. Nothing new that has come about in these rules. Uttarakhand has also brought in on the code on wages. One aspect is that they have tried to define unskilled, skilled, semi-skilled, highly skilled, how it is to be done is being defined in these rules. And the provisions with regard to equal remuneration is also given a more wider definition to include gender equality being brought into it. Um, While we're all talking on the codes, the Gujarat government, for some reason, did not amended the Gujarat gratuity rules. So no more requirement to display any notice or the abstract of the rules. That's the amendment that they have brought in. These are the legislative changes that have been there. Under the NPS, they have brought in a scheme where you could still go on to do your registration without photos or signature on online mode before 30th of April. An easier way of onboarding people under the NPS. There is a scheme that has been brought in. As part of the OSH code, the central government has formed 3 committees to look into safety, fire, and working condition standards with regard to factories, docks, and construction work. And they have split into the East Committee to give its recommendations, both for public as well as the private sector across the country. Um, Many of you have also seen in the news that the EPFO now allows you to track your contractors' compliance. So you could, wherever your contractors are there, those contractors' accounts can be tagged to your own accounts. This has also got a negative side in our view, in the sense that once you tag these contractors, then the next could be that, see, these people were there tagged to you, you were uh, trying to keep track of these contractors, and therefore if these contractors fail for payment, they could come against you as a principal employer. So one aspect is, yes, you as a principal employer will be able to look into and track their compliance, but at the same time, could this online tool that they have enabled also cast an additional liability on you, or the EPFO will be able to overreach you as a principal employer is something of a concern. We need to see how they are going to take this forward. The Rajasthan government under the BOCW Act has brought in third-party complaints. It's something new. So whenever you build or any construction site, now they could have a third party who is authorized by the government to come and inspect and give a report. Of course, in certain cases, like where an accident has happened and things, they can't do it. But in normal course, a third party certification is being provided for in BOCW Act. I think it's the first of its kind in any state. No other state has got it. Of course, the OSH rules also brings in some kind of third-party schemes where the government could say that there will be a third-party audit and certificate, and they would be identified by the government, and these persons would give you an audit certificate, which would protect you or ensure compliance with the OSH code. Another aspect on the code on social security is where uh, private employers will also now need to compulsorily report all vacancies. This, of course, is once the Code on Social Security is notified. They're going to take away employment exchanges. They are going to bring in these new career centers, and even private employers, as and when any recruitment is to be done, they should notify these career centers. There is an increase in February of the number of new PF subscribees. Of course, not the entire 12 lakh were new people. Some were those who had already exited and then joined back in, but a good addition. But this March, maybe again, given the second wave that we are now going through, there could be a reduction in the number of new enrollees. Last week, we saw one automotive bringing in parental leave. Here again, one more automotive major in India has announced 24 weeks paid parental leave for male workers. So it's a neutral, general neutral policy. This is the women will still be entitled to 26 weeks of full maternity leave. And this policy, in fact, is very way forward because it even looks at same-sex parents. And even for a parent who gets to adopt or foster a child, these leaves are being made available. It's a good HR initiative of a company, so we thought we would just price it so many more people could follow it. This case law comes from Kerala. It's under the Factories Act, in fact. The reason is this petitioner, who was a lady, she challenged a notification wherein the recruitment was being, for a safety officer, was being restricted to a male employee alone, on the ground that there is restriction in women employment beyond the normal hours that is given in the Factories Act, night shift and things, there is restriction. The Kerala High Court struck down the recruitment and said that it cannot be restricted to only male candidates, and therefore even female candidates would need to be considered, and women can't be denied to even apply. And it was held to be violative of Article 14 and 15 of the Constitution. So the provisions of the Factories Act cannot be put against. Of course, this was a public sector undertaking which was trying to advertise and recruit a safety officer, and where the High Court said that even a women employee can be a safety officer. This is a case of a bank employee. Certain serious acts of misconduct committed by him as a cashier cum clerk. The reason why we put this is the Supreme Court judgment on this aspect is that there were totally seven charges. The first charge, the inquiry officer held to be not proved, but the disciplinary authority held the same to be proved. And then on all the seven charges, dismissed him from service. So the contention of the employee was that the first charge, the inquiry officer held not to be proved, but the disciplinary authority decided otherwise. He should have been given an opportunity. And with respect of the other charges 2 to 7, the punishment should not have been imposed of dismissal. The High Court, in fact, interfered and reduced the punishment, but the Supreme Court said the punishment of dismissal was justified even for the proved charges of 2 to 7 of the cashier in a bank. This case pertains to public employment, but there is an element of labor law where even private employers will have an impact on this. This pertains to the Anna Centenary Library in Chennai, where there were outsourced employees. So on a private contractor, the private contractor was paying PF, ESI, etc. And the union filed a writ petition saying that these persons should be regularized in the services of Anna University, or they should be considered as the library's employees. The High Court rejected it. So this is applicable on the claim of permanency and the concept of principal employer, which is not, though this is under more of a service law to deal with the government sector, this judgment can be applied even to private employers, because on the ground the contractor has paid ESI, PF, appointment orders, etc. In your private employment also, this judgment would be of help to many employers. Um, that's your complaints calendar for the coming month of June. This month onwards, we decided that we would introduce a new section called the Thought for the Month. Uh, to start with this month, many were expecting that the code on wages would get notified, and then we didn't have it notified. So there is a thought process is when the code has been delayed, uh, we are safe. We don't need to restructure the salary at this point of time. The businesses can wait till the codes are notified before restructuring of wages. This is just one thought that came about to us, is that this is report. There is actually a words of a judge in a Madras High Court judgment. Um, See, the code on wages or all the codes are certainly going to come in, and in all probability by the end of this year. And these codes, especially the definition of wages, is going to impact every business. Yes, businesses can wait till they are notified, but when they are notified, let's assume somewhere down in October or November, if they are notified, you would be cast with additional burden. Whereas when you now restructure the salary during a normal appraisal, you could have your impact minimized. So a thought that we wanted our listeners today to go back with is that, at least in respect of restructuring of wages, don't wait till the codes are notified. Analyze first where the impact is for your businesses. And once you do an analysis impact, see how you could mitigate it and reduce it, especially at the time of an annual appraisal. And when you do your appraisals this year, try to bring your wage codes to be in compliance with the new definition of wages. Or if not, there is a good possibility that when these codes get notified, there is certainly going to be an additional financial implication on your business. So to mitigate it, please do consider aligning your wage structure to be in tune with the code on wages or the definition of wages under the codes at the time of appraisal itself. It is with this thought that we pleased to leave you this time. We meet you again on 29th of May 2021 with a new point to be discussed as well. From next month onwards, we are going to be discussing a new legal topic as well. So do join us on 29th of May 2021. Have a nice evening. Stay safe. Meet you soon. Thank you.